Let's see, testing 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you can all hear me. You should be able to. I haven't streamed in about probably over a year, so a little bit rusty. We'll see how this goes. I don't have like any of my buttons or anything set up, so I gotta do this all manually. Let's switch over to here and you can see my ugly face. It's probably the first time a lot of you have actually seen my face. Come to think of it. Hang on. There we go, I'm a little more centered. Don't mind the mess back there. There's only so much I can clean up. I did my best. The Ender 5 is a bit chonky. And we just got the tonk in the background because I didn't know what else to put there. So, how are you guys all doing? I was originally thinking to do like some gaming or something, but I was like, I don't really do gaming content anymore. It doesn't really make any sense. At the very least, we're gonna start off with some talking to you guys in chat. If I can make my chat bigger. I think I have to do the pop-out chat here. Give me that. There we go. Make that a little bigger so I can read them all. Hopefully it doesn't go too fast and I can actually get to your questions and stuff. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I kind of was planning to do a little bit more for the 10-year thing, but I kind of like how it turned out. I was originally planning to do more of something like this where I was kind of reacting to the content, but then I was like, that's not really my style. I'm not a reaction channel. Yeah, I did used to do gaming content on War Thunder. I still kind of do on my second channel, which it is kind of weird that I moved all that content to another channel, but it just made more sense to me. L3 versus P1000. I think you mean P1000 Rat. I mean, the L3 would win because I don't think the Rat would have ever even been built to begin with. Well, I mean, turbine engines are pretty successful in tanks, so I would say that they're obviously a good choice. I guess it depends on what you're looking for with the tank, because there's pros and cons to everything. Opinion on the Panzer III. I mean, from a logistical standpoint, I think it was probably one of the better of the German tanks, kind of prior to them going a little too off the rails there. Yes, I do like 3D printing. Haven't really done a huge amount with it. I had an Ender 3 for a while, and it was, it gave me a lot of trouble. I think I got a dud, so I got the one you can see in the background over there. It's been working pretty good for me. Oh, is it too loud? 1 second. It's a little hard for me to judge the audio for you guys. There, that should be a bit quieter. I hate using music from some of these sources because it's like good music, but it varies. It'll be like real quiet for a while and then it jumps up to like full blast, so there's no even way to set it. What made me decide I wanted to start a YouTube career? Well, and this was kind of something that I wanted to include in the original, or in that video that you watched. I was going to talk about how basically, because I was like 12 or 13, I must have been 13. I don't remember when I made the channel, and I can't do the math right now. 12 or 13 when I made the channel, and at that time I was super into Lego stop motion, especially Lego Star Wars stop motion videos. So I really wanted to do Lego stop motion, and mainly so that I could buy more Legos. And I kind of started doing the stop motion stuff a little bit, but then obviously I was not very good at it. I got better towards the end, but I'm kind of glad I didn't stick with that, because if I had, when Copper rolled around, it would have not been great, especially if I had been able to, even if I had gotten a successful channel going. But yeah, that was pretty much, it was that followed by Minecraft, but as a YouTube career, I didn't really seriously consider it until like a couple years ago. My opinion on the M26 Pershing. I honestly haven't done that much research on it. I only know what I've experienced from playing it in War Thunder. Not a huge fan of it in War Thunder, at least stock. It's better once it's spaded. But in real life, Not really sure. I mainly did research on the Super Pershing, not the regular Pershing. Alright, Burning Tank Man. How do armies source their fuel during conflict? Purchase it, requisition it? That's a good question. I've actually never really looked into that. If I had to guess, I know at least in the US, there's like the strategic reserves, but I think that's mainly for if we were invaded. But I believe that the government has a supply of fuel, and then after they use that, I would assume it would be contracted out to different companies, or they would just nationalize the companies. You guys are asking me thoughts on a lot of tanks. You think I know everything about every single tank? Thoughts on the Stuart? I'd say it was a pretty solid early war vehicle. Good for its job. What's on the shelf in the back? Well, up top you've got my... Let me see if I can pull up OBS so I can actually see behind me while I'm doing this. Alright, so top shelf, far left you have a tanker helmet, French tanker helmet. And then next to that you have the Cone plush, which we ran. I can't do another run of that one specifically, but I might do another similar one. Next to that you've got the play button with a 3D printed FCM36 turret. You can't really see it because the light is really weird on that wall, but there's a whole bunch of like little anime figurines next to it. Well, whole bunch, like 2. Below it there's a whole bunch of tanks. Then you got Slave 1. I believe that's an Apache that my brother's friend made for me. Some Benchies, and then below it is my AT-AT that took a horrible fall off of a ledge and I have yet to repair. He's very broken. Ooh, chat does not stand out very well there, does it? Oh well, it is what it is. I'll have to fix that for next time. Hard once I turn. I lose them all. Oh, Hockey Tanker. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. Why is this 30 the best tank? Well, I mean, it's not really a tank, so obviously it's better than all the others. Do I think tanker helmets are any good? Well, I mean, it lowers the number of head injuries, as I believe Chieftain has said in some of his videos. So they're definitely a good idea. I don't know necessarily if which ones are better than others, but hold on. I'll get some examples. These two should suffice. I guess I don't need my headset on for this. So, like, you've got stuff like this, which is more of like the later... I'm not really sure what the Russians had in World War II. I would assume it was something like this. I don't know off the top of my head. But with these, you've got basically padding all the way around. And it's pretty light. It's just like fabric. So this sort of design is probably better. And I think that's why most of the ones you see nowadays are like this. I think the Leopard 2s are pretty similar to this. And you compare that with something like this, which this isn't, I don't have any modern ones, but this would be like a post, let's see if I can get this more in camera here. This is like a post World War II French tanker helmet or French AFV helmet. You'll see pretty much all of them have like a padding strap here. This one is probably better protection wise, but in terms of padding, the other style is better. So you kind of have to balance those two out. But I think they are fairly important, and I don't know why some nations don't issue tanker helmets to their crews, like why the Germans didn't issue them in World War II. It's a very strange thing that I have never really found an answer to. Have I ever thought of making my signature cone turret as a hat or helmet? Yes, actually. That was part of why I have that gigantic FCM36 turret printed back there. I wanted to see if I could 3D print like a mold to either clip onto my headset or just as like what the heck? I lost my train of thought. Or as a prototype for a helmet. Well, I mean, the steel one probably would. Stop it somehow. or at least, I mean, helmets aren't really meant to stop bullets. They're more meant to protect from the, like, shrapnel and stuff, but they can stop bullets. So it's better to have them than not. Thank you very much, Will Marlet. Marlat. Hopefully I said that right. Names are... I'm not very good with names. Will I do a video on armored trains? Technically I already have, because I mentioned one in the KV2 variants video. But yeah, I do want to do one on armored trains in the future. My opinion on the tank being obsolete, it's complete bogus. They say that every single time a tank gets knocked out in combat. If you look back in history, it's literally been said in every single conflict after the tank was implemented. They said it after World War I. I believe they said it during the interwar period. I believe they said it during World War II. I know they said it after World War II. They said it, and they're saying it now. It's every single time it's been proven wrong. I think eventually the tank will go away or it will evolve, but not yet. Wear the FCM 36 cannon hat. Perhaps someday. Have I seen Laserpig's vid on the T-34? No, I have not. My opinion on that? I'm not going to get into that. That is not a topic I want to get into on YouTube. Little too spicy. 50 cal on what? Part of it is just that we don't have a clear picture of what's going on over there, so I don't want to throw my hat into the ring when I don't actually have good information to give you guys. That, and I don't want to have something get me striked by YouTube. On tank, every single vehicle that's ever been made that I can find information on is on the table. People always ask me, like, will I do a video on something? Eventually I will. My plan is to cover everything. It's gonna take me a while, though. Any news on the Sprocket series? Yeah, I was going to continue doing that, and then I kind of tried to play Sprocket again, and I was a little lost with the controls. I think it was partly because I played a beta version, but I gotta try it again, but I just kind of... It takes a lot of time to do those videos, and I kind of want to focus more on the main channel, but I do want to do more content on that other channel. I'm not really going to get into my opinions on other YouTubers. Not a very good look. I'll do a video on my mom. No, I will not. Do I know anything about the Canadian M4A5 developed during World War II? Not really. The new German MBTB covered? I don't really like to cover new vehicles, because there's basically nothing I can say other than, well, this looks like, that looks like, I think. It gets into a lot of opinion stuff. Not a huge fan of that. I prefer to talk about the facts. I might do, like, in the future, in the past, I've talked about wanting to do something similar to this, except more of like, almost like one of those, like, live shows where I would basically, like, talk about tank news and stuff like that. I just kind of haven't really thought of how I can do it properly, because I'm not super great at doing live commentary, and I don't have like a teleprompter or anywhere to do that sort of thing. So maybe in the future, and then I can kind of cover my opinions on stuff. But for my content, it might be like a one-off video, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that. Particular thoughts or musings on the Japanese tanks of the Second World War. Whew. That's a can of worms. Basically, I don't know, because nobody knows anything about them. There's so little information on any of those vehicles. It's, like, absolutely insane. It's a miracle that I was able to do videos on any of them, because... hold on, I can grab you an example. Oh, or maybe I can't. Where the heck did I put my Japanese tank book? Where did you go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, I do have a couple of them. But, this is a little booklet that covers some of the Imperial Japanese tanks. It's got not a lot of information, and I mean, there's some stuff you can find online. I do have another book somewhere as well. I don't know where it is, though. But, yeah, this is one on just, you know, Japanese tanks as a general topic. This is a book on just the AMX-13. So, I think you get my point. It's a little tricky to do research and do like a full-length video on a tank that there's a lot of information on when the book is this thick. But yeah, if I can get more information, I would be gladly able to cover it. The OI is one of those that it's like I so badly want to cover it, but I basically would just be like, hello, the OI was a tank that may have existed or it may not have. There's a track here that might have existed for it. Thanks, have a good day. Will I remake old videos? I have considered that in the past. And I probably will in the future, like once I start to run out of topics. But unless there's something that I find that I got really wrong, or I get like a huge amount of new information on something, like, for example, the T-34-100 is one of the ones that I probably will redo at some point. But if I get like a huge amount of information, like somebody finds in the archives that there was a whole, like, a lot more information on the project than we know now, I'd be more eager to make the video than I would be to just cover it again now with the same information, pretty much. I did not go to Tank Fest. Did I hear about the leak of the Chinese ammo? Yes, I did. What are my thoughts? It's pretty funny that people keep leaking stuff, especially considering it was a Chinese leak. You've got some balls if you're willing to leak information in a communist country, that's for sure. Do you have one of those dirt bikes with rear tracks instead of a wheel? I wish. I think you mean the Kettengrad. Those things are worth big money. Have I ever considered doing a War Thunder vid with another War Thunder YouTuber like Fly Daily? Well, maybe not Fly specifically, but I have done in the past collabs with other War Thunder creators, but I don't really do much for War Thunder content anymore. But I mean, I did a replay of Mike Goes Boom sent me one, and I did that, so. I have not watched Top Gun Maverick. I actually haven't seen the first Top Gun. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it. I almost did go see the new one, but it was like, I need to see the original first before I go and see it. At some point. Ever consider buying a tank? That is a goal that I would like to get to at some point. But they are expensive. And I don't have that kind of money. I gotta buy, like, property first. And that costs more money than a tank. My opinion on the T-55 and T-62 series. I think they're honestly, to some degree, overrated and to some degree underrated. I think a lot of people write them off because they're cheap tanks to a degree and they're outdated now, but like, for 90%, probably, but, well, maybe less than 90%, let's say 75% of the world, a T-55 is going to be a pretty dang good tank for their military. Like, almost all of Africa, probably. A lot of places in Asia, most likely. A lot of smaller nations. They're going to be a pretty decent choice. Well, better than nothing. And when you have a smaller economy, it's not like you can exactly sell or exactly buy stuff that is new off the line. What tank is better, M4 EZ8 or I'm guessing you mean T-34-85? Probably the EZ8. The Sherman is just such a solid tank. It really, like, the more you look into it, it is such a good all-around vehicle. It is probably one of the best tanks that's ever been built. People are like, oh, but it took 5 of them to kill, or more than that. Some comments are like 20 to 1 tiger. And it's like, well, first off, you're attacking an entrenched enemy. Of course, you're going to take more losses. But second off, that's not entirely true either. Like, we don't have exact figures on that or anything. But yeah, I would say probably the Sherman, because the T-3485, I'm not sure about its optics specifically, but the Sherman has that slow speed stabilizer, which is a huge benefit. I don't think the T-3485 was actually that unreliable. I think the main issue with it was, aside from the crude construction of them, was just the fact that they got knocked out quickly in battle. It wasn't really that they were unreliable. I'm not the expert on that. I do have a 3D printer. It is right behind me. My general reaction to the new KF-51 Panther, I just kind of watched the video and I was really confused at the part, like, they have like a minute and a half or so of you watching the tank driving, and then it says like something like, I'm here. Like it pops up with text that just says like, here I am, or something like that. And I just like, I couldn't help but laugh. It's like, we've been watching you for a minute and a half. What do you mean here you are? You've been here. It was just very weird. The Lago, I haven't actually done much research on Swedish vehicles. I want to cover the Kranvan at some point, but I need to find information on that. Yeah, I think EZ8s were used against T-3485s early on in Korea before the Pershings arrived. I think you're right. Do I think electric combat vehicles like the Ripsaw M5 will replace manned tanks? So I'm guessing you mean unmanned vehicles, not electric, because electric vehicles on the size of tanks are not going to be something that's going to be in combat for a long time, if ever. But do I think unmanned tanks will replace something like an Abrams? Possibly, but not for a while. I mean, look at what the US has done with, well, I don't know what they're doing with the new Abrams yet, but they still haven't gotten rid of the loader and swapped to an auto loader, partly because they want to keep like the extra crew. There's some reasons for it, but if they're that hesitant to get rid of one crew member for an automated system, I really don't see them getting rid of the full crew. Maybe like another generation or two down the line, you'll get a little closer. If I can see any two tanks in history fight it out, which tanks and why? That is a good question. Not really sure, to be honest. I mean, to a degree, it would be interesting to see how an early Cold War conflict, like, yeah, you've got like Vietnam and Korea, which are Cold War conflicts, but like an actual European theater of battle where you have like either T-62s or T-64s going against like the Leopards and stuff. It'd be very interesting to see, because I do think, at least from what I've looked at, there's people who are going to be kind of having mixed opinions on that. But from what I've seen, the Russians did have a bit of an edge, especially in numbers early in the Cold War. So it definitely would have been interesting to see how the Western tanks would perform against like a fleet of T-64s. Other than that, I'm not really sure. I mean, it would be interesting to see any tank in an engagement, I suppose, as long as, you know, you're not either engaging it or nearby it. But if you're like in a, like Minecraft, let's say we're saying Minecraft spectator mode, you're hovering up creative mode style, can't get affected, it'd be interesting to see. Although I think the one that I would want to see the most in action would be the mouse, just because it would be so interesting to see something of that size actually moving on its own. All right. I'm sorry if I'm missing your guys' questions. There's only so many I can get to. How many times have I uninstalled War Thunder and or World of Tanks? Well, I mean, I've uninstalled and reinstalled them quite a few times, but not so much out of like, oh, I'm sick of this game, I'm uninstalling it. More of like, oh, I need to move this game, or I need more space at the moment for something. And Yeah, I've only and then I just reinstall it later. I kind of keep them because they're handy to have even if I don't play them, because I can use them for like screenshots and stuff for videos. What produced German take was most strange? Not really sure. Probably one of like the Waffenträger vehicles. Those things are just very weird looking. Unrelated. Alright. Spartan Warrior. As an unrelated question about tanks, do you think that a new form of military fighting vehicle will be invented in the next decade which will replace tanks and planes in some roles? Possibly. I'm not really sure what would replace them, because you'd kind of just have to go to like some sort of like weird Terminator style drone tank thing. I don't think you're going to be seeing that for definitely not in the next decade. Where's the vid on the Karger at? I did some shorts, but I have not gotten around to doing a full one on it yet. Any paper tank that was real in blueprint form? Yeah, there's a lot of them. A lot of the ones that people talk about when they're referring to World of Tanks, where they're like, oh, this vehicle was fake. No, it really wasn't. I mean, the way that it's shown in-game is fake, for sure. But stuff like the Kranvon is a real vehicle with blueprints and stuff that you can look up. Even the double-barrel ST2, I believe it is a real design, but it never went anywhere. What's the best tank movie? I don't know. Personally, I would probably say Girls in Panzer der Film, just because it actually has like probably the best tank combat you'll see outside of like maybe an older no, any live action film is gonna have trouble. Fury has a good tank battle, but I'm not like there's a lot of issues with Fury that kind of are like with Gup you're kind of more of like, yeah, I'm watching an anime. I'm expecting it to not be realistic. There's another pretty good one, though, if you've never seen The Beast. There might be it might also have another name, like The Beast of War or something like that, where I believe it's a Soviet tank crew in Afghanistan. That was a pretty interesting one. It's not so much like tank-on-tank combat, but it's about the crew of a tank. Ooh, that almost went down the wrong pipe. White Tiger isn't a terrible movie. People give White Tiger a lot of shit for, I mean, what the White Tiger looks like. Here, let me pull up an image of the White Tiger here for... Actually, I probably have one in my, I probably have one on my PC. But yeah, people like give it a lot of crap because like, oh, the tiger looks so dumb. But what they don't know is that actually the original script or original plan was to use like a fully built replica tiger, which was completed. But the issue is it got delayed, and I think the director or the company behind it didn't want to wait, so they did the one that they have in the movie. Where is it? Movie tanks. I had a folder for them. Where did I move it to? Might not be able to find it. I have so many different folders with stuff in it. Thank you, Ed. Where is... Would it be in my random tank stuff folder, maybe? Possibly. I'll find something else. Change it up from the tonk. I just keep scrolling in the exact same spot, looking for a folder. Oh, this might have it in it. Let's see. That's not it. Oh, yep, there it is. Haha! I found it. Now I just need to resize it. Come here. There you go. Yeah. I don't know that I don't know enough about the movie, but I think some of the scenes weren't CGI, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, to be fair to the guys who designed it, it is tiger like esque. It just looks a lot more like a tiger pea. But yeah, there's people that will tell you, and I've had a lot of comments on that movie tanks video that I made, where it's like, well, they were just trying to make a rare tiger pea variant, and it's like, no, they weren't. They just they just didn't complete the one that they wanted in time. Let me see if I can white tiger. Nope. White tiger tank. It was just showing me pictures of actual tigers. Yeah, because you can see in like some of the original pictures and stuff that they had like a normal looking tiger. I don't know if I can actually find a picture of the one that they made, but I think there's a video of it out there on the move. Oh, maybe that one's it. Yeah, that one might be it. How the heck do... Ah! Oh, hang on. Okay, that's a real one. Ah, here it is. Yep. Ah! I hate this website. It's like dragging me all over the place. Okay, let's see if I can save image. Yeah, this is very janky. I think they may have used like an IS or something for the basis of it. I'm not really entirely sure what they did. I don't know if there's much information out there on it. There we go. So this, as far as I can tell, is what the actual white tiger one that they commissioned. It's like a replica. So that's what it looked like. Much better. I think it... I remember hearing like it fell off a trailer or something and got damaged and they had to repair it or something like that. But yeah, it was an actual legit replica that they made. Yeah, the Tiger P did see combat. Not just the hull. There were a couple of the like normal ones, I believe. Mostly as Ferdinand's though. All right, let's go back to chat wherever it went. There you are. Okay, see if I missed any questions. Well, the issue with the Battle of the Bulge movie that you're referring to is that they actually used like M48s and stuff for that. So that's why they looked like that, because they were American tanks. Was the Ferdinand classified as Ferd or Elephant? I think it was just named Ferdinand after Ferdinand Porsche. And then Elephant after that. What is my favorite video that I've made? I don't know that I have a specific favorite. I really enjoyed making the one on the B-18 bomber crash in New Hampshire, because I got to actually go onto the location where the wreck is and get footage of that. I want to go up and see there's a crashed B-52 in Maine at some point and do a video on that as well. Do I think the mouse was a bad or a good tank? I mean, it had a lot of good engineering that went into it, but it was a terrible, terrible tank. It never would have worked. I mean, sure, they might have been able to get them into combat, but just the logistical nightmare of attempting to get the thing into combat to begin with, not to mention keeping it fueled, dealing with having to cross bridges and stuff with it, which you couldn't. Not to mention, I don't know if you've seen the pictures of what happened when they got it off the road, or off of the correct area that they wanted to drive with it, and it went into the mud. But digging a 12-foot deep hole, or 6 foot, you know, it would be 6 feet deep because it sank up to the turret. Digging 6 feet of mud out so that you can get the thing out of the mud, not a fun experience. At least doesn't seem to be fun to me. Let's see, what other picture do I want to throw up here? Here, we'll throw up a picture that Ed took from Armored Archives. This is one of his favorites that he took of T-55 Enigma. I hate that these don't automatic. There must be a way to... Where's the button for it? There is a button for that, isn't there? Preview scaling, scale to window. Nope, that didn't work. Dang, I thought there was a button for that. I'm probably just missing it. Come here. Yeah, there you go. I hate when they're the wrong resolution. Alright, we'll just stretch it. There we go. Good enough. Lake Mead is the one that's near the Hoover Dam, right? Because if that's the case, if the water keeps dropping, hey, maybe they can go and get the B-29 out. Make the best of a bad situation. What tree would Brazilian vehicles go in War Thunder? That's a really good question. I would probably say if they didn't add a different tree, it would make the most sense in the US tree. But personally, I think they should do like a South American coalition tree, sort of. Like just combine that region into one tree. Just call it like South America. And then you can have different lines of vehicles for different nations. It's kind of what I wish they would do with Japan. Because then you could have like a line for Korean vehicles. Then you've got like the Japanese. And then you could combine in other Asian nations. But Asians really don't like other Asians. So that it would be a PR nightmare. But personally, they don't make up a large percentage of the player base. So I think you just kind of piss them off. And then they either quit or come back. Oh, they wouldn't lose. I doubt they would lose the TAM. It would just stay in the trees, like how they did with the Italians. The vehicles would remain in the tree if you had them already, and then they would move over if you didn't. My opinion on the M1A2 SEP3 Abrams. Oh, it's gone. I don't really know that much about modern tanks. My specialty of what I like to look at is World War II. World War I and World War II. I've actually been liking World War I and interwar tanks more, but they don't get as many views, so I kind of have to bite the bullet and look at the World War II stuff. Gotta do the World War II German stuff. The Nazi stuff's what gets views. Everybody wants you to cover other topics and they don't watch. It's like, hey, you want me to cover other topics? Watch them. There's a tank film called Lebanon. I was not aware of that. I believe the T-55 Enigmas saw service. They're basically just modified T-55s with just like a crap ton of armor slapped onto them. I covered one specific armored train in the past. I will probably cover more in the future. It's kind of difficult to cover stuff like that because it's like I want to try to stay to the tank topic and not veer too much off to one side or the other. But there are ones that I do want to cover. Well, I mean, considering the US had the Mark 8, is it? The Liberty tank basically in production for 1919, and I believe they got the first ones rolling off the line before that. I think that the Germans would have lost no matter what because of just that sheer amount of production. Would have been interesting to see how that affected going into World War II, though. Because if the French had actually, I don't know if they ever completed the factories, but they were going to build factories to assemble the tanks in France. So if you add those factories in pre-World War II, does that impact France's ability to like produce more tanks and stuff prior to World War II? I don't know if it would actually like help them win against the Germans in that scenario, but it could have. Or it could have changed a little bit. Most of France's problem was politics. How did the Jumbo Sherman fare against Tigers, in my opinion? Well, I'm not going to go into my opinion, but I believe it did fairly well. The Tiger, as far as I know, could not frontally pen a Sherman Jumbo. At least not, like, reliably in combat. But the Sherman Jumbo has the stubby 75, so it wasn't exactly going to be able to pen it. Although they did have the 76 Jumbo, so... A Tiger versus a 76 Jumbo, my money's on the Jumbo. FCM F1 tank, I do want to cover that. How did the character from my channel get created? Well, if you watch my latest video, you'll learn about that, but it was a character created by me and one of my friends, essentially. But go watch the video. It'll tell you a little bit more. Ever do a video on the Africa campaign? I don't know if I'm ever going to do videos on specific campaigns. I might do some... I want to do a video eventually on, like, tank production, like the machines and stuff, but I can't find any information on them. But also on, like, logistics and things like that, potentially. But I don't... that's not really my area of interest. There's plenty of other channels that have done it far better than I ever would be able to. You get, like, Armchair Historian. I believe Chieftains covered some of that stuff before. I would not really be adding much to that conversation. I can at least add information out there on weird vehicles by doing these videos. That's kind of my goal. What do I want for the next War Thunder update? I honestly don't really care. I haven't really been playing War Thunder like... well, not I've been playing it consistently, but I haven't been playing it like as seriously. I just kind of get on and dick around with my friends. Do a video on how underrated the British tanks were in World War II. I mean, I'm going to do more videos on British tanks, but they're kind of boring. I think there's like 7% of people voted that they wanted to see more videos on Britain in the poll that I ran. It was like very, very few people actually care about Britain. But I am going to cover some interesting ones. Ed gave me some info on a very interesting vehicle that a lot of the information is like brand new that he just got. So that'll be the first time that'll be published. So I'm hopefully going to be getting around to that at some point. And hi, Lex. Sorry I didn't say hi earlier. I meant to. What about a video on the TOG? Yeah, I want to do a video on the TOG. The issue is I haven't really found some like good information. There's a lot of things that people get wrong about the TOG from what I've heard. Do a video on the Crusader? I will do one eventually. And I don't care if I piss him off. If I'm going off the facts. If you get mad about the facts, then I don't like... I'm sorry. I will sometimes mention my opinion in videos, but if I do, it's saying I specifically state that it is my opinion. The unreliable part about the M6A2E1 was that I believe the transmission couldn't handle the extra weight or something like that. They added a lot of extra armor onto it and that other turret, which made it really, really fat. Need more music playing. What's to listen to? don't want to get copyright claimed. That's the issue. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully someone bought the M48 or they moved it to get refurbished. The M48 is one of my favorite tanks. Just the look of it. I love the look of the M48. I mean, I do like Jingles, don't get me wrong. I watch most of his videos, even the non-tank related ones. But no offense to him, but don't take his don't take his tank knowledge as gospel. I've watched quite a few of his videos, and it can be painful sometimes to hear some of the things that he says about it's like, no, Jingles, that's not right. Why didn't you just Google the tank before you made the video? I'll help you. Reach out to me. Which apparently he does watch my videos too, which is that is a weird feeling when a YouTuber that you've watched for like years and years is a subscriber to your channel. It is a very strange feeling. What the heck was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna set my picture as an M48 photo because I have one somewhere. That's a side shot of it. Don't tell me that's the only one I have. I know I have more pictures of it. I'm very disappointed because they have their M48 in like a really dark spot in the museum, so it's really hard to get good pictures of it. Very depressing. Yeah, it does not look like I have any good photos of it aside from here. We'll look at the nice side of an M48. Again, I know there's a button for this. For those of you who probably are screaming, it's just this button, but I don't remember what it is. Unfortunately, I cover up the barrel art. Can I flip it? No, I won't flip it. Ah, I opened the wrong window. There's chat again. Thank you once again, Ed. Are German tanks superior to the M1 Abrams? If it isn't, that's a tough one. It's really hard to label like a best tank. Personally, I do think the Leopard is probably a little bit better, but the issue is you've got the new tanks coming out, and nobody really knows the information on like the specifics of the fire control systems and everything that are in those tanks. So it's like, it's basically an impossible thing unless you pit them against each other in actual combat. And then it comes down to crew training, it comes down to logistics, it comes down to ammunition, which with being NATO countries, they kind of both use a lot of the same parts. So they're very, very similar.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching-gery.
Oh, they have one of the Panzer ones. Yeah, the one that that M48 is from, they also have a Panzer one. They actually, I don't think they have it in running condition at this point because of, I don't know if you saw the video, but I had a video on the tank when it was just about finished being restored, but I guess they got the stuff that they needed for the engine back. They tried to start it up and something went wrong with it, so they have to basically wait and get the engine worked on more. Thoughts on Canadian tanks during World War II? I think they performed okay. I don't really know a huge amount about them. I have seen one though, because I went to Base Borden in Canada quite a while ago, and I saw one of the Ram tanks. Very, very cool looking. Video on mechanized infantry? Probably not. I might cover the vehicles, but I probably won't do one on infantry. That's not really my thing. I might do like videos on like infantry versus tanks. That would be something that I would cover. Kind of like how I'm doing the tank tech series, which at some point I need to do one on this thing. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm pretty sure I have a whole script written up for it and everything. I just don't. I have limited space to work with for recording, so it makes it awkward to do live action videos like that. Video on the BTR and BMP series? Eventually. A lot of the newer vehicles, it's kind of hard to say whether they're cursed by design or forged for battle. A lot of the time I just kind of throw anything that hasn't performed super well just into the cursed by design. Oh, like there's like a lot of different factors that I use for which series they go into. And with cursed by design, it's kind of just a catch-all. Like if it was a weird looking tank, if it didn't perform very well, if it didn't reach battle, if it didn't reach production for some reason. There's a lot of different reasons why I will throw those in there. Yeah, that's the issue. I've done that in the past, and I just keep making more series that I never add more videos to. Like with the Panzer the Lake thing, I made, I kind of tried to branch off into like the mysteries in history, which I do still want to do more of those, but the issue is there's like not a lot of specific tank related mysteries. And I don't know. I'll definitely do more of those because I know that those type of videos do really well on YouTube. Because I mean, look at people like Wendigoon that cover some weird topic and it's like 4 million views. It's like, bruh. Granted, I cover Zimmerit and I have like 3 million views on. I don't know why that video did so well. It had no right doing that well. Well, I don't live in Europe, so I can't exactly work on a European time scale. This was just kind of the time that worked out for this stream in particular. You gotta remember though, like 30% or so of my viewer base is in the US, and then it kind of dips down from there. I believe Britain is the next biggest, or just Europe in total, but I can't exactly bend my life just to suit the timetable or time zone that I don't live in. I will do streams earlier in the day, but there's only so much I can do. I should have worn my merch shirt. I forgot to put on my frog shirt before I came down. I was meaning to get my nice dress shirt on. I forgot to. Porsche or Krupp turret for King Tiger? The Krupp turret was better. Well, they were both built by Krupp, right? There was some weird thing with that. They were both built by the same people or something like that. The production turret was better, though, because it didn't have the shot trap. Yeah, I would include my face more into videos, but my backdrop isn't exactly the best for that, and I don't really think it's necessary. I would rather focus on the tank. Like I don't feel like adding my face into the video actually adds anything, because I'm not talking about my face, I'm talking about a tank. Tell about the Stern Panzer 1? Yes, at some point. That is an M48. I do have a picture of an M60 from that museum, but that one is an M48. Bum, bum, bum. Still need to find music here. Let's do... I don't want to do Nintendo music, because Nintendo doesn't like people using their music. I don't know. I'll just re-loop the playlist I was listening to earlier, I guess. I just feel like I need something in the background. What obscure conflict had a use of tanks that surprised you? Well, it's not so much that it surprised me, but one that I am interested in is the Soviet-Afghan conflict. I feel like that's kind of almost like a forgotten conflict in terms of YouTube coverage. There's not really a lot of videos on it, and they did in fact use tanks in it. I've been planning to do a video covering like tank usage in that, which there wasn't like a huge amount. They kind of realized, oh hey, this is not working. And thank you, your generic dusty plane. Makes me feel old that my channel's 10 years old. I'm not old, but it just makes me feel old. Because it's like, man, I made this 10 years ago. That's like almost half the time I've been alive. A couple more years and this channel will be over half as old as I am. The T-26, which T-26? The, like, Soviet one or the Super Pershing? Because the thing is, the T-26 was just an up-armored, what was it, Mark 6? Something like that. It was one of the, just the British tanks, modified, essentially. So, you add better armor onto it, and it doesn't improve the suspension or the engine at all. So, you're basically just pulling a Germany, and you're going to probably blow out your final drives or something. Might have made some impact, but probably fairly minimal. Tank warfare in some Middle Eastern conflict. Yeah, that is true. That is a fairly forgotten thing. Or not covered as much. There's just some of those things, the reason they're not covered is because there's not a lot of information on them. So it's like, oh yeah, I would love to cover them, but I can't exactly fly out there myself and go find all the information. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't speak the language. Or languages, rather. How bad were German suspensions throughout World War II? They were not. The suspensions were good. The issue was they put too much weight on them. Their suspensions were quite good, especially like the torsion bars and everything. I think they performed very well, but the design of them was not the greatest, like with the interleave road wheels and stuff. Why did I choose the FCM36 as my channel's pet? It was kind of just like, how do you say? It kind of just happened on its own. Like, we were messing around in War Thunder. The tank was kind of silly looking. The cone head thing started. And once I was kind of moving more towards history, it was kind of like, well, I'm kind of covering weird designs that people don't talk about. And the FCM36 is one of those. Like, there were 100 of them made. It saw combat during World War II, but not a lot of people really know that much about it. And at some point, I do need to do a video on the tank. I've been putting it off because it's like, it's a tank that's so integral to my channel. I need to make sure that I do it justice. It isn't really a meme tank though. Like, it was honestly probably one of the best French tanks that France had when the Germans invaded. Its main issues were its armament and the fact that it was a two-man crew. The armament was really the main one, though. I've heard stories about the engagement they had. I think it was with Panzer IIIs, because at the time the Panzer IIIs would have only had the 37 millimeters. And basically neither tank could penetrate the other effectively. So they were like at point-blank range, unable to damage each other. The Germans pretty much only won because they had radios. That's one that I want to cover at some point. That specific battle, because it was kind of, from what I remember, it was a battle that actually really, really heavily impacted the war. Like, if the FCM-36s and just that the French forces hadn't been there to delay those German advancing troops, the war could have gone very, very differently early on. Strange tank battles as a topic? Maybe. Specific tank battles are kind of difficult to cover because you have to find like the original documentation about them. Why do I use anime girls in my profile? Well, I mean, partly clickbait, but also I like to have a channel mascot. I mean, you look at any successful brand pretty much in the world and they have some sort of mascot. We've kind of moved away from that because we're into like the corporate simplified or oversimplified stuff with everything just being like circles with colors. But you look back like 10 years ago even and everybody used different characters and stuff. A lot of YouTubers do it as well. I just like the idea of having the mascot. Plus, it gives me the ability to have something to use for merchandise and stuff when people like the character. And I like to get art of her done. She adds to the channel. It's a nice way to be able to have like a little pop-up in the video that's not just a text blurb at the bottom, where I can add in like fun facts and stuff. That's why I've kind of started to integrate her in that way. I want to get one done as well where she pops up and it just says like, remember to like and subscribe or something along that line. Like when you're watching like a TV show and you have the little thing that pops up with the dude. It's usually like for Friends or something and the guy's down there like, watch the next episode. But something along that line where it's not like obnoxious. She like just pops up and it says like, writes. I think I told Soup what I wanted was have her pop up, drop back down, and like, or pop up with like a little notepad, drop back down, and then pop up again and it has a little thing written on it that says, or like she pops up, writes, scribbles, and then turns it around. Something along that line. I mean, it would be cool, but at the same time, the Bob Semple, unless they gave it the 37mm, wouldn't be able to do anything. Do I ever get fan art? I do sometimes. Most of the time, I have to run fan art contests to get them. Big sad. Here, let me throw up a piece of fan art. I do really like getting fan art. It's one of my favorite things, in fact. So if you are an artist and you want to send me something, send me fan art. I love it. Alright, let's throw up something from the last fan art contest. The issue is a lot of these are vertical, so they're kind of hard to... Oh, this one might work. I believe this is one of the ones that won. Do I collect World War I rifles? Well, I don't collect them, but I do have one. I'd like to collect more. The thing is, they cost money. Everything costs money, and I don't have that much money. YouTube does pay the bills, but I'm not making, like, money hand over fist. Hopefully someday. Like, I'd like to be able to say that I can turn down sponsors and stuff, but it's not entirely true. I do turn down ones that I don't think are a good fit for the channel, for the most part, but usually I just kind of go off of, does this brand seem to be fairly decent? I'd rather not talk about my income, personally. Plus it fluctuates a lot. What I made last year, I probably won't make this year. Or I might make it, I don't really know. Being a YouTuber is not a consistent amount of money that you're making. Like, I could make, say, like $1,000 one month and then like 5 times that the next month, depending on how my videos perform, stuff like that. I'm just happy as long as I'm making enough to cover my expenses, pretty much. But obviously, I want and need to make more so that I can get money to buy property and either buy or build a house. That's my next goal. Yeah, I won't do raid. I've turned them down like 5 times now. I have watched Girls in Panzer. I just haven't seen Das Finale yet. I'm waiting for them all to come out, so I'm just gonna wait for the next like 10 years. Yeah, but in War Thunder you're using the APCR. Plus, War Thunder isn't a perfect simulation of real life. Like, yeah, the FCM-36 and probably the Panzer III could frontally pen each other, but you're talking about, like, very old tanks, and you're trying to, like, aim and shoot for specific points, but pretty much it's just center mass. That's all you're going for is center mass. And honestly, if you look at the front plate of both the Panzer... Do I have a... Hang on. I have a model. It's not perfect, but... Oh. Well, this is perfect. Speaking of GUP. This'll work. So, when you're looking at a tank frontally like this, and you're thinking, like, they're coming in to shoot at this, let's say, even shooting at a flat angle. This front plate here only makes up, like... What's that, like a third of the whole upper plate? And then you've got this slope and down here. If a shot hits here, it's going to lose all its energy, or at least some of it. And it could just bury itself down there or bounce up, or you've got the angle plate there, and if you're even sitting a little angled, it's gonna impact all the ballistics. That's why a lot of people kind of, I think, use video games too much for, they use that too much for actual real-life ballistics. I was hoping to get, God, I can't remember the name. It's like XYZ Productions or something like that. The guy that does all the penetration test things. I was really hoping I could get him to help me with the video. He never got back to me on it. But I wanted to do one where it was like, how realistic are tank weak spots? Something along that line. Because you've got so many vehicles like the Tiger P, for example. Everybody's, oh, you just shoot the little corner plates. How realistic of a weak spot is that actually for... Oh yeah, Dageman, that's what it is. How realistic is that in an actual combat scenario? Because it really isn't as much as you think it is. There was a message I was... Don't build... Yeah, I'm not going to be building for a while, at least. I would argue the Chieftain wasn't a very good tank. It was kind of a pile of garbage. I mean, there's good things, like the fact that it had an engine that could use any fuel was good, but they kind of gave up so much of the reliability just to be able to do that. I do believe later versions of the tanks were better, but not the early ones especially. Even the Challenger is not as good as people put it out to be. Talked to Ed from Armored Archives about that. I'm gonna make a lot of Tiaboos angry when I do my Curse by Design on the Challenger because, oh boy. Yes, it may have the longest range ground kill in history, but doesn't really matter when you compare it to a lot of other stuff. I'm not saying it's like a completely garbage tank that has no use, it's just not as good as people think it is. Thought about a video on wheeled tanks. Well, they're not really tanks if they're wheeled, but yes, I will. I'm not sure what type of bombers they're supposed to be. You'd have to ask the person that drew it. They kind of look like maybe Ju-88s. I don't really handle the bans for the server. If you got banned, you probably did something pretty stupid. Am I gonna play Hell Let Loose at all? I do still have it, but I've kind of mainly just been playing games that other people that I tend to play with have. I don't really solo game that often. I usually just work on videos until someone gets on. I want to do a full video on the E-Series, and I was playing... I was in the middle of working on the E-Series video, and I kind of got sidetracked, but it was just like a hard one to cover. German tank videos can be a real pain in the ass. You're like working on it, and it has a lot of like, there's tons of information out there, and you kind of almost get information overload sometimes. It's like, especially with Hilary Doyle, he has some, I think I put all my Panzer Tracks books away, but Hilary Doyle has amazing information. Like, he's got some of the best information out there on German tanks, but sometimes the way that he writes it can make it very difficult to understand. A lot of it's just me, like, not fully grasping what he's saying, but it's just like, it's written as a way to give you as much information as possible. It's not necessarily written in a way to make that information as readable as possible, which, I mean, that's what he's going for, is just getting information out there. Do I like milsims like Squad? I prefer games like Battlefield. Well, not 2042. Mainly Battlefield 1 is what I play for shooters. But I have been playing Squad a bit more because Alice usually likes to play it. What is your favorite tank concept? That's a tough one. Favorite tank concept. Probably the ones from Frank Tinsley that I've covered in the past. His are just hilarious to me. No, you don't understand, Parrot. I don't actually really like Squad. It's okay. It's okay to play. It's mainly just that she likes to play it, so I play it. Super heavy tank concepts are interesting, though. Thoughts on the Leopard 2? I like it. It's probably like my favorite modern vehicle. Well, not really. I just think it's cool. Speaking of like milsim type games, it's not really milsim, it'd be more like SWAT sim, I guess, but I got Ready or Not because it was 10% off with the sales. I really, really like it, actually. Like, I'm not a huge tactical shooter fan, but I just have a lot of fun with that game for some reason. It's a very, very good game. Underrated, I would say. I've been waiting for Volp to get on to play it, but he hasn't been on yet. Favorite World War II American tank destroyer? Well, that's not a very large selection, but I'd probably say the M18. It was really cool to see one of those in action at the American Heritage Museum. I was not expecting how much it smoked when it was starting up. Not with a larger cannon. There were vehicles with larger armaments than the 4005, but they weren't really designed as anti-tank guns. The 4005 had the largest dedicated anti-tank gun. Because you've got, like, even the one that I just covered, the Brumbar, technically that's a larger cannon, but it's not... Well, actually, no, it's not. Scratch that. Because 183 millimeters, it's chunkier. I was thinking more of like the Sturm Tiger. Sturm Tigers is bigger, but it fires... It's more of like a rocket launcher, like a recoilless rifle almost. But even something like the Karl Garat is gigantic, and it's you could argue it's a tank because it's on tracks, and it has a huge mortar, but it's not an anti-tank vehicle, and it's not really a cannon. It's like a howitzer, artillery gun. I don't know. German designations are weird. It's basically just a gigantic mortar. Yeah, eventually I'll get around to the Leopard vid. A lot of times it's not so much that I don't plan to do a part 2 to a video, it's just that I keep getting distracted. It shouldn't be my mic. I'm right in the good level for this, so it's probably just your audio. The ugliest tank. That's a tough one. Part of me wants to say PT-76 just because I despise that thing from War Thunder, but I don't really think it's the ugliest tank. I don't know. What makes a tank in your opinion? I kind of go more of like the, I don't know what you would consider it, the more like simple mind of it, where I just, if it has tracks, I call it a tank. Not because I know that's right, but because it's simple. And the thing is, that I try with my videos to be simple to people. If I bog people down in starting off and do a whole tangent of, well, this is not a tank. It's actually an armored fighting vehicle. It's not a tank because of this, 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 and this. I'm going to lose people immediately. If I just say it's a tank, 90% of people are going to, oh, it's a tank. Okay, it's a tank. It's got tracks. It's a tank. I can accept that. And the thing is, I can later on in the video say it's a tank for whatever reason. Now, obviously, a tractor is not a tank. It had, like, tracks, gun, armor. It has to have those three things, obviously. But, like, later in the video, I will specify, like, it's a tank destroyer, or it's a this, that, or the other thing. But just for the general purpose, I try to be fairly simple with my designations for vehicles. The Mysteries and History videos are a little bit... They were just... I think I started that series a bit too early. I should have just left the Panzer the Lake as a Curse by Design thing. Or I should have rolled it into the one that I was a History Worth Remembering, something along that line. I actually quite like the look of the Brumbar, personally. I think the Sturmtiger's uglier than the Brumbar. Yeah, but armored bulldozers don't tend to have cannons. You had, like, with the Killdozer, which didn't actually kill anyone, but the Killdozer had... It did have a gun, technically, because he had a 50 cal in the armored bulldozer, but that's not really a tank. I mean, you could make an argument for it that it's an improvised tank, and if I ever did a video on that, which I probably will at some point, I haven't done it yet because literally everyone and their mother has covered it, but there is an argument to be made that it is an improvised tank, sort of like some of the stuff that you see in the Middle East and in some of, like, I think in, like, the Balkans is where you've seen some of the other ones. I think there was even an Italian bulldozer with armor on it that I saw pictures of. I think that's the one I'm going to cover before the other one. Well, yeah, but that was... A suicide isn't really someone... It isn't the same as the vehicle itself killing someone. I mean, he very easily could have, because he was shooting at people with the 50 cal and other guns, I believe. At least the 50 cal, but luckily no one was hurt. Aside from the one guy who took himself out. Amphibious tanks, just by nature of their design, kind of have to be ugly. Yeah, I know he had multiple guns, but I just don't know if he actually shot with more than one of them or not. I think he mainly just used the 50 cal. The slits that you're referring to, I think, are part of, like, the, it's to cut down on the light that you're outputting, because if you're driving around with your full headlights going, blah, it's gonna make it a lot easier for aircraft and other tanks and infantry to be able to actually see where you are. That's part of the reason why they do, like, they'll have only, like, certain lights running and stuff on the vehicles. It's just to cut down on the amount of light, I believe. Also probably to protect the lens from getting broken. Yeah, I know about the M60 one where the guy rolled around in the thing. Not sure, I haven't looked into the ISU 152 too much. Was the Chihal long gun any good? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't think anyone could. I don't think we have any information on it. I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know if you went to the same high school as me. Are you thinking about a video on lighter weapons on tanks like autocannons? The specific weaponry of a tank doesn't matter to me. It's just more of do I have information on the vehicle on hand, and is it something that catches my eye? A lot of the time it's just like, if I have information for something that a lot of people have been asking for, or if I'm doing research on something else and a vehicle pops up and I'm like, whoa, what the heck is that? I've never seen that before. Because if I've never seen it before, there's a good chance that a lot of you haven't seen it before. That's kind of why I did the, what the heck was it called? The Vorpanzer armor on the Tiger, because I had no idea that existed before. And a lot of people didn't, apparently. The KV-2? It was a pretty terrible vehicle, in all honesty. I like it because it's a funny meme vehicle, but if you look at the actual... I mean, partly it's because it was designed, like you say, as a bunker buster, and then it was used as the complete opposite of that, as basically a bunker itself. So you can't really fault the vehicle too much for that, but yeah, it just was kind of a poor design. Well, I mean, Rezanai wasn't the only situation where where it did that. Like, basically every time the Germans ran into it, they had trouble killing them. The same with the regular KVs. A lot of the issue with the KV-2s, from what I've seen, is not only was it obviously, it had so many issues with that turret and the big gun, but it also was, they didn't have enough ammo for the thing. Yeah, it's sort of like the Sturmtiger, kind of. But I wouldn't say it's the equivalent. The more direct equivalent would probably be like the Sturmhaubitze Sturmgeschütz tanks. Or Sturmhaubitze 3, whatever the heck. The Stug with the 105s. I don't know that much. Planes are not my specialty. I'm sorry. Will the Chinu be effective? Which one's the Chinu? Let me just look that up. I mix those ones up sometimes. I believe the Chinu did see some combat, didn't it? I know they reserved most of them on the main island. Let me see. Combat history. Oh, I guess it didn't. It kept in reserve. I mean, in theory, the gun would be able to deal with Shermans more effectively, so it probably would have been decent. That's honestly, E100 versus Mouse is a really tough one to kind of say. Because yeah, you've got the Mouse and everybody, oh, it's so heavy, everything, all that. But when you actually look at what they were built with, I would actually probably lean more towards the Mouse performing better. Because the E100 was built with a lot of Tiger parts, like I talk about in my video on the tank. The Mouse was built with all custom components for the most part, from what I'm aware of. So the Mouse was heavier, but it had more horsepower. Its transmission, or well, not really transmission, but it had electric drives, were probably going to be better than using what was essentially a Tiger transmission or a Tiger 2 transmission for a 100-ton vehicle. Or what is it, 140 tons, whatever the heck it was with the turret. What's my favorite cursed Sherman variant? Probably the crab flail tank, because I've actually seen one of those in person, and it's very, very cool looking. How effective was the Churchill 7 in combat? I am not really entirely sure. If you want answers on British vehicles, I would recommend checking out Armored Archives. I believe I have him linked on my channel. If not, if you just type Armored Archives, you'll find him. Chap with a pipe is his profile picture. Favorite Soviet tank? Probably the T-62. What is it? The T-62 M1 is the one with the modernization kit. I just like the look of that one. It looks very cool to me. I've been a fan of the T-62 for a while. It's just I like the look of the tank. I have heard of Potential History. I've heard of most of the history YouTubers, but I don't tend to watch that much on. The thing is, when you do a lot of research on vehicles and stuff like that, you kind of don't have as much of an interest in watching people talk about them. Like, a lot of the stuff that I watch are on topics that I don't do research on myself, because it's kind of like, I just spent however many hours researching and writing a video. I don't really want to go and have to think about it more. I need a break. I need music. What sort of music? We'll just loop the same music again, because I can't think of anything else. The IS-152 is a worthy tank to make. Well, they used it a lot as like a artillery piece, so it did kind of make sense in that role as like an assault gun similar to what they used for the Stoogs. So it made sense. Some Weeb Toho songs. Is that U code? If anybody watches him, you'll understand why I said that. Do I think tanks and flamethrowers should be combined? Well, flamethrowers are pretty nasty weapons, to be honest. So I would say the less you could have those in combat, the better. But there are instances of tanks and flamethrowers being combined, and they worked effectively. The thing is, if you have a flamethrower on the battlefield, it's probably better to have it in a tank than just on someone's back, because when it's on someone's back, a bullet can go right through, and then, yeah, not a good day. But with a tank, you at least have it being armored, and you're usually not engaging other tanks, so the most you have to worry about is an anti-tank gun or a, some sort of other anti-tank weapon. And even then, even if you were penetrated by an AT gun, there's no guarantee it's going to hit the tank necessarily, or the fuel tank for the flamethrower. So I would say I would rather have it in a tank than on my back, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's arguments for and against the Tiger scene being accurate, because you can say that it was being used by an inexperienced crew, but yeah, it is. I mean, they had to make it dramatic. If you have, they have a Tiger, they have one of the only Tigers left in the world, and the only one currently still running. You're not just gonna have it sit in the bushes and pew, 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 pew. You want to have the thing pull forward and show off. That was probably why they did it more than anything. If they hadn't had a legit Tiger, they probably would have had it sit more in the bushes. That's just my thoughts on it. Granted, the director, if you've watched some of the behind the scenes, doesn't know what he's talking about, so it might have just been him. Because as much as historical consultants help with making sure something's historically accurate, they don't have final say. It's the directors that have final say. But yeah, he was saying some BS about how like it took like 5 Shermans for one Tiger and all those. Basically, if you can think of the generic Tiger uber strong tank talking points, he was talking about those. Well, I mean, that's assuming that Tiger 2 had fuel and the engine hadn't crapped out on it yet. I have not, actually. I am not military at all. I'm a civilian. And I plan to stay that way. I just have an interest in military vehicles. I am not a pro-war person by any means. I just find the technology interesting. So a lot of my interest in tanks is similar to like someone's interest in cars. It's like, I don't have an interest in cars because you can take a car and run down a group of people with one. Because, I mean, you can do that. You shouldn't. You can. But that's not why I have an interest in cars. It's a technological interest. Mechanical interest. The same with tanks. Because obviously tanks are designed to kill people. As much as you can try to argue, well, no, they're made for a deterrent. No, they're designed to kill people. Just like guns and everything like that. They're well, not all guns, but for the most part, all weapons are designed to kill people. Or kill something. And tanks are the same way. Yes, I know the Tiger P. Tiger P is one of my favorite vehicles, actually. For that exact reason I was just talking about, the engineering behind it. That's why the mouse is so fascinating to me. If you look at it just from an engineering standpoint, it is a marvel of a vehicle. The fact that they got the thing to actually work and weigh almost 200 tons is insane. The Tiger P is the same way. The fact that in the 40s, a guy designed a tank that was using an electric, like basically a hybrid system of an engine powering electric generators which drive the tracks. That's just like, it's insane to think about. And the mouse was the same way. That's what makes the mouse even more interesting to me. I think it was like 188 tons, something along that line. I think it depends on if you have the tank fully loaded or not. The ISUs used to clean up Chernobyl. That is actually an interesting... I've never thought of that specifically. That would be an interesting topic for a video, though. I think there have been some videos done on them. Okay, if you're talking about the flat armor on, like, the Cromwells and stuff like that, I believe that was part of this... partly the same reason why the Germans originally were using, like, with the Tiger, how you have, like, the flat plates and stuff. That's not because Germany didn't know about angled armor, from what I'm aware. I think that they did know about it to some extent, and, like, the effects of it and everything. But it was, like, it was a production issue, because they didn't have the welding at the time to be able to go deep enough to weld the thick plates at an angle in that way. So once they had that, once they figured that out, that's when they started going into, like, the Panther and stuff like that. So I would assume a lot of the same thing was with the British tanks, where it was just kind of how they were building them. Because a lot of British tanks were like, they would take the armor and bolt it on or rivet it on, I think usually rivets, onto the, basically a frame. Well, that too, yeah. The angling wasn't as important until later in the war. Well, I mean, it was important, it just wasn't seen. The technology wasn't there. Do I think the Italian P-40 was a good tank? Well, they only built a... How many of those did they build? Oh, I'm thinking of the other one that they were trying to make. I think it was probably one of the better Italian tanks that they made. Italian tanks are kind of a weird one. Oh yeah, speaking of the sex bots, they've gotten weird lately. Like, hold on, let me see if I can find a comment from one of them. Let me check on my second channel. That's where I get them more than on the first channel. Which is kind of weird, because I get less views. They're weird. Like, they don't make any sense. They're not like... It's not like the ones that they had for a while where it was like, ooh, baby, I love you. Message me with, like, a bunch of heart emojis and stuff now. Like, it just straight up doesn't make sense anymore. It's just complete gibberish. It doesn't look like I have any. Maybe I have some on my main channel in the spam folder. They're just bizarre. The heck is this comment? I gotta do a at some point I'm gonna do a comments video. This has gotta be a spam comment or something. On my KV2 video, this guy, my sister runs an accounting tax business. She's been in business 20 years and has never had the amount of issues with customers that she does now. The IRS and Massachusetts DOR are completely screwed up, and folks are not taking out their frustrations on her and her staff. Okay, cool story, bro. It goes on more than that, but cool story, bro. Don't know what that has to do with me, but okay. Don't know what the KV2 has to do with the Massachusetts IRS, but alright. No, it's not even a random comment. It's like, I don't have an example of it. It's just weird. It's like, I can't even describe it because they're just so weird. Cursed tank simulator in Roblox. I heard there's a new Roblox thing where you can actually, like, build your own tank and stuff. I haven't tried it out yet though. I've been trying to bug Limmy K's the new channel name she's using to do videos, but she's been having trouble lately with content and stuff. Yes, I agree that both the Ozodio and the MB3 are underrated tanks. That's why I did videos on them. There's personal reasons why she rebranded. No, a lot of the issue that you see in War Thunder with the French tanks is they're being faced off against vehicles that they technically would never have faced off against. If you had a strictly 1.0 battle, it would be fairly realistic. But I don't believe that the Panzer IIs were running around with the HVAP belts. At least not nearly as much as they are in game. So they should really be using like the regular AP belts. But like, let's say the FCM-36, you take that out in battle and you're facing off against like, I don't know, one of the Panzer IIIs with the longer 50 or just the 50 in general. It's like, man, yeah, it sucks. The lower tier of War Thunder, it kind of I like to play it because lower tiers are fun, but it's way over compressed in my opinion. I really wish they would space out a little bit more. I think it would be better for the game because if you kind of space out the starter BRs a little bit more to give people a better experience when they first start playing, I think more people would stay with the game. But at the same time, I guess a lot of people don't really play that many battles down there, so it doesn't matter as much. I don't know. It's more of a personal opinion thing that I wish they would do it more. CF-100 Canuck would be better. I wish I could give you an answer, but I don't really know anything about planes. I was originally going to, but probably not. I think I'll just do a chill stream talking to you guys for this one. I might do more of these in the future. I kind of had some ideas to like do something like this, where I kind of do like a Q&A section, just talking with chat for like maybe an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, and then after that, I could have something on the Discord where people can like basically submit things to get my reaction to it. Because I know a lot of people like that for some reason. I'm not a huge fan of reaction content, but if people want that. Oh, the Wheel of Pain? It's right here. I haven't really done anything with it. It just chills. But yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool to have like a chat that people can send things in, whether it be, maybe not videos because, you know, copyright and all that, but, well, I guess tank content. If somebody sent in like a video with a tank, but it's tricky. The artists for my channel artwork, for the most part, I work with 3 primary artists. There's Mimiko, who actually designed the character originally. There's Mary Biddy, I think that's how you say her name, who does most of the stuff that I commission. And then there is Souprice, who does a lot of the stuff that you've seen in the videos, but it mainly is Souprice and Mary, yeah, because they're just the ones that are most consistent with stuff for when I commission them. I want more stuff from Mimiko because her art is very good, but unfortunately she has a lot going on, so she doesn't have time for art all the time. Oh, you think I'm pretty? Oh, stop. You'll make me blush. I liked your Super Pershing was pretty good, Major, if it was the one that I saw in the art gallery. I was a little confused why you put the riot shields on the front, though. What do I think of multi-crew tank games? I think they're interesting. I mean, I guess it's different. I like the idea of having a variety of tank games. That's why I kind of was helping with the Arms Trade Tycoon tanks, because I like the idea of having that variety of tank games. A lot of the issue that we have with why current tank games are a little bad in some aspects to a lot of people is because there's just no competition. If you have more competition, they are forced to be better. That's why monopolies are such a bad thing. But like, if you think about it, like use an example of like fast food. Let's say you only had Wendy's and McDonald's. Wendy's kind of does their own thing with how all their different menu items, and then you got McDonald's. They do all their own thing. They compete for customers, obviously. They're both fast food restaurants, but I think we can all agree that Wendy's and McDonald's are not really, like, they're both going to get enough sales to stay in business. So they don't really have to innovate or change up their menu at all. But then you add in, let's say, Five Guys, you add in Burger King, you add in Hardee's, you add in, I don't know, all the different fast food. And then you start sucking in more customers to different places, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, we actually need to change up our menu so that our food is better. Although it's not good for you by any means, but it tastes better. Popeyes as well, yeah. That's a little different though, because that's chicken mainly. I wish there were more Popeyes near me. There's only like one, and it's like an hour away. I have never tried War Thunder. Well, that's not... I think I may have tried War Thunder in VR once. I'm not sure. Oh, no, I didn't, because even though War Thunder is on the list of VR-supported vehicles for PlayStation VR, it doesn't have VR support, because reasons. Favorite German casemate design? Definitely the Ferdinand. Show you my tank helmets? I guess I can show a couple of them. I showed off one a little bit earlier in the stream, but I'll show one that I haven't shown, because if you want to see... where's my finger? If you want to see that one, I have a video on it. I actually have a video on all my French helmets, but this is one that I haven't done a video on yet. This is a... I believe it's supposed to be... This is actually from the Spanish Civil War, but it's basically an Italian tanker helmet. Ooh. A little musty smelling. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, it's exactly the same as the Italian one. The only difference is the crest on the front. Oh, I guess it is metal. At first it felt like plastic. Let's see. For 3D printing things. Yeah, I need a haircut. Ooh, it's a little tight. I think my head's a little too big for this one. Yeah, my head's definitely too big. This is like a small or a medium. It's too small for me. Original as far as I know. This thing is tiny. Ugh. Why would I grow my hair out? I don't really like long hair, to be honest. Well, I like long hair on girls, but I don't like long hair on guys. It looks good on some people, but I don't think it would look good on me. Yeah, that's a little too tight for me. The other ones fit. Like, I believe this one does. Although, granted, the liner isn't original. Girl, what, you want me to be Simon Whistler? I believe this one fits. Oh, there's a spider in there. Never mind, I'm not wearing that. Mr. Spider, why? Yeah, I'm not Mike the Egg. Ugh. Here, I'll just put this one on. I look like one of the... What the heck do you call operators or whatever? Yeah. This actually does work. I'm gonna kill my neck with the weight on the back of this thing. But this does actually work. Do I have any tanker helmets from America? No, I do not. Where Frog? They're upstairs. They're probably waking up now. Yeah, they'll be awake. Chillin'. Comrade. Alright. He just wants to stream, yeah. Thing's very heavy. On the back, mainly. Could just be when they built it or whatever. I have two. If you watch the Matilda Frog video, I believe they... Yeah, the Matilda Frog video they're in. And then I have another one where I was doing a fundraiser. Can you see them? I could go up and get one, I suppose. I might get bitten. All right, I'll go get one if I can get them out. Need to wash my hands first, though. I'll be back in a second. Okay, let's hope she doesn't launch off of my hand. Don't even think about it. Don't you do it. No, 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 no. Look at the camera. What are you looking at? Oh gosh. Trying to bite me here. Getting mauled. They're Aussies. They are dumpy tree frogs, White's tree frogs, or Australian green tree frogs, I believe, are the names. Yeah, she got pretty big. If you look back at the other pictures I have, they're also very skinny. They've kind of gotten more chubby. Chubby, chubby. I've considered doing like a live stream of them just chilling, but most of the day they just kind of don't do much. They're more active at night, so I would have to, You're gonna jump on me, aren't you? I would have to have like a night vision camera of some sort. I don't trust you. Oh, you're just gonna do your little sitting? I know it's bright down here. It's your nighttime, your time to hunt. Really? There's a Matilda frog in Wyoming? How the heck did it end up there? Are you sure it's a Matilda frog and not just a different Matilda variant? Because there are a lot of Matilda variants. Nah, because they need the... Oh, she's going to jump on me any minute now. I just know it. No, I can't have a light on for them like that. Because they need to have their day-night cycle. What? Oh, I'll have to look into it and see. Interesting. There may have been another variant of the Matilda with a flamethrower as well. The frog was just the one that the Italians made. This one is saute or soot. It's hop in French. Hello, is it Jaime? Sorry, I'm not great with names. Yeah, they are nocturnal. Warp, 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 warp. Let's see, how much can she stick? Oh, she's sticky. Oh, she's sticky. Nah, they've got their names. It's Soot and Paul. Because originally when I got him, the other one loved to sit on his little branch that I have for them. So, I'm being attacked. This is what I have to endure for you guys. Do you see this? This abuse? All right, I'm going to I'm going to go put her back. But yeah, I called him Paul because, you know, Paul Bunyan, the guy that would chop down all the trees and whatnot. Dang, you marked up my skin, frog. Sharp. They don't actually have teeth. It's kind of like a sandpaper, but they do have like a little nub, like a bone nub in their jaw. All right, I'm going to go put her back. All right, I'm back. Hang on, let me scroll up. I need to thank you, Elijah, for becoming a member. Sorry, I was a little bit preoccupied. I figured I can't have one and not show the other, so here is Paul. He's a little bit more green. He tends to turn a bit more green than she does. Whoa, he's going. I'm not sure why it is that he turns more green than she does, but they can turn fully green. I've seen them fully green before. I think it's just their habitat that I have them in. I think there's a lot of browns. About my hentai addiction? I don't have an addiction to hentai. He is quite rotund. Pudgy little guy. Whoop. I probably overfeed them a bit. I mean, look at that. Look at that absolute girth. Chonk. What's with what awkward laugh? Ah! Come here. Oh gosh. Don't go on there. He wanted to play, I guess. I don't know if you heard that. He jumped onto the monitor. Doot, 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 doot. They're quite impressive little creatures. For something so small. They got a lot of personality, even though they're very stupid. They literally just attack based on movement. They're like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Alright, I'm going to go put him back, and then we can get back into the regular stuff. Where are you going? Boy. He's escaped before. Granted, it was my own fault because I had him in a different container. And I found him all covered in fuzz, so I had to wash him off at like 3 in the morning. Stop that. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, in the I kind of want to get like a setup for them though, so I actually don't even need these on. Get a setup for the frog so I can have a little camera while if I'm streaming, and I can swap over so that you guys can see them in their cage without me having to bother them. They don't breathe through their skin, but they absorb moisture through their skin because their skin is like semi-permeable. I can't hold them for very long, but as long as you wash your hands off, it's just not good to have them. If you have like the oils and stuff on your skin, it can be bad for them. But mainly, as long as you keep their skin moist and you have your hands clean, you're fine. I don't handle them very often. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool, and then I could have like, if people want to donate at a certain amount, I could be like, donate X amount and I'll feed them a worm or something. Granted, I can only do that a couple times because I don't want them to get obese, but it would be an interesting way for people to interact with the stream. Is it okay to stand by a tank when it fires? As long as you're behind the muzzle, yeah. A tank is just a giant cannon, that's all it is. Or just a giant gun, rather. I don't know, I'd bring out a gun to demonstrate, but I... First off, ATF, I don't want to deal with that. But also, I don't really want to show off guns and then have YouTube get annoyed at me. I guess I can show an airsoft one. Or a BB gun. So for reference, YouTube, see right on there all that writing? That's because this is not a real gun. This is what it fires, little pellet things, and it doesn't even work actually because the seal on the back's blown out. But if you imagine this as a giant tank cannon, I mean, granted I have a model here I guess I could use as well, but you got the muzzle here and then you got a muzzle brake. As long as you're standing behind that muzzle brake, I mean, I'd say you'd probably want to be standing like back over here, but as long as you're not standing off to the side, you're not going to get hit by anything. It's the same with something like this, although the revolver is not the best example because you've got the blast that comes out here, but that's not like that much. But yeah, as long as you're standing behind this muzzle or behind that area, you're going to be fine. That's essentially how it would work. At some point I need to fix that thing, but I honestly just want to get like a real one of the Schofield number 3s. That is my favorite handgun. Dang, look at that. Look at that sex bot go. Let's get rid of that. How long has this been going? 2 hours? We'll go a little bit longer. Yeah, I mean, I did a video on a real gun on YouTube, but I'm like I said in that video and why I'm posting most of those on Odyssey is just because I don't really want to deal with the stuff that comes with guns on YouTube. I'm not doing any, well, not yet at least, I'm not doing any like modifications or gunsmithing of my own, so I don't really have to worry about it because for the most part, as long as it's in a safe area and you're using an unmodified gun that doesn't have any of the scary things on it, you're fine. But when if you get into too much, it could potentially jeopardize the monetization of my channel, and considering I'm not a gun channel, it's just not worth the risk to me. I do have a 1911 BB gun though. I believe this one still works. Once again, BB gun does not shoot. I don't know if I can. Yeah, see, does not shoot real bullets. But it is blowback and everything. Usually the ones that I buy are blowback because that's just cool to me, is having the fully functional. Plus, it helps if you're trying to do training. Oh yeah, you can't really let the thing down on this, can you? There's limitations to the BB guns. No, it's not real. As you can see with the magazine... Oh, hang on. That's right. You have to cock it to drop the magazine or whatever. I don't know. I haven't used this thing that much. CO2 canister goes in there, and then you load the BBs. I have that one. Blowback Luger. This is probably my favorite ones of... Mainly because of... If anybody out there knows people who design BB guns and stuff, for the love of God, add these things right here. You don't know how much easier this makes it to reload than like the other ones. You have to like hold it with like your fingernail, and the spring tension eventually will like release, and it ends up chipping away at your fingernail, which like it's not that big of a deal, but it is a very annoying thing to have to deal with constantly. That's right, I have to let that down without it in there. Ugh. Does he still not sit in there for days? Nobody really uses the voice chats in my server. It's kind of funny. They just sit there abandoned. I don't know if people are just like afraid of them or something. Well, if you watch my most recent video, you will get the answer to that question, Saber. Fair enough. I mean, I won't say too much, but most of the people in the server are kind of boring. Nah, I'm just kidding. You guys are actually quite interesting, just in the wrong ways. Like, I swear, let's go take a look at what's in General Hangar right now. Oh, nothing too bad, okay. I swear half the time I go in there and it's some weird, like, fetish discussion. Not, like, super lewd, just, like, weird. Thank you. Yeah, at some point the, where is it? The AT-AT right there I need to fix. I just don't have the willpower for it, because it's partially apart. And it's going to be hard to fix because I can't exactly just use the instructions to fix the pieces that fell off. It won't be that hard. I just need the motivation to do it. Speaking of which, if you want to watch the watch me build that, there is a, I think there's a stream of it. I don't know if I ever finished it on. I'm pretty sure I finished it during the stream. I don't know if I ever did a sped up version though. I have the footage for it. Did I do that? If not, I should. Although I don't really do much for Lego content because I don't have the money for that. Buying tank related things, trying to save and pay bills and have interest in like cars and guns is just, there's only so much you can spend your money on. I don't have Elon Musk money. I don't think I want Elon Musk money because then everybody's just angry at you all the time. But, yeah. Let's see. Lego. Oh, maybe not. AT. Did I not upload that here? What? Where the heck did I stream that? Were they just live streams? Star Wars. What the heck? That's weird. Did I delete? Maybe I deleted the streams or something. I can't find them. Yeah, I just need to feel motivated. Any favorite model? I am a Volkswagen Beetle person. Although I also like the Porsche 944s. I have one. It just isn't super reliable. My dad's been driving it to work a little bit here and there, but it's got some issue with, it's either electrical or something with the startup. Because it was rewired to have a push button before I got it. So basically you push the button and it'll start, but sometimes it doesn't. We swapped out the starter and it's still doing it, so there's something weird with it, whether it's a relay or something in the wiring. It's an old German sports car, so They've got wiring gremlins in them all the time. All right, catch you later, parrot. Well, if you guys have any last questions for me, send them in now, because I'm going to be finishing up in just a couple minutes. I guess we'll go for like 2.5 hours, something like that. That seems reasonable. The Valmet? What is that? Let me look. Oh, it's a gun. Okay. Funky looking. I'll have to watch the Forgotten Weapons video on that at some point. I don't know much about it. Let's swap up the background again. I'll use a different piece of fan art. Let's do one from the first fan art contest I held. Here we go. We can throw a let's throw an animated one on. Yeah, that'll give you something to look at. Which one of my videos do I most like making? Yeah, somebody did ask that earlier, but I can answer it again. I'd probably say the B-18 crash video that I did. I don't really have a specific favorite, but that one was just one of the most interesting to me, being able to go onto the location, get the footage, kind of like see where everything happened. It's kind of the same like if I were to do a video on Rezanai, but I was able to fly to the location that it actually happened and kind of like look at the terrain and see. It's a lot different. Like even with the Tonk video or the Panzer of the Lake, it's just so many things where it's like, if I had the ability to go there and like visit the place in person and kind of do like the, and this is where like the filming aspect of like a documentary type thing, it'd be cool. But at the same time, I kind of like the style that I do now. I do want to incorporate more of like me in person doing things in the future, but it has to make sense for the video. Like with the Horo video, I think I might, because I can go and see the last remaining Horo, and it would be kind of cool. I need to talk with the museum though and see if I could actually be able to get on or in the vehicle. It's kind of not in the best shape, and it's like preserved as it was found, so they probably won't let me climb around on it. Maybe they would. Maybe they'd let me like climb onto the engine deck just to get some better pictures or something, but I don't know. I gotta shoot him an email. I've just been busy. Would an 88 cannon fit better into an IS-2 or a Panzer? A Panzer what? Do you mean Panther? Because I would assume an 88 could probably fit into an IS-2. Not sure what the heck's going on outside my window. Kind of sound like coyotes, maybe. Doing community-oriented. Yeah, you know, I'd actually thought of something like that, but I don't really know how I would do it. I kind of like doing the fan art ones, where people can submit fan art and then I give out some prizes for it. Mainly because I like fan art and it's a good way to get a bunch of fan art. But I haven't really thought of other ones. I guess I could do like a cursed design thing, but I don't know. I do think they're kind of neat to see people's designs, but to be honest, a lot of them are complete garbage. It's just like, I slapped this turret on top of this hull and didn't consider any other things about it. Plans of future collabs. Yes, of course, I would like to do ones. I think Ed from Armored Archives and I are going to do something, but we haven't done anything yet. What am I 3D printing right now? I've been trying to get the bottom half of a Clone Trooper Phase 2 helmet to print. I have the top of it. The top of it came out. It turned out decent. I mean, you can kind of see it's not much infill to it, but it came out pretty clean. I still have to do like, clean it up and everything. But I've been having some issues with the bottom. I'm not really sure if I need to replace my nozzle or something, but like I've got the bed leveled nice, and it has the auto bed leveling, but it's like not consistently laying down the same thickness. Like I'll adjust the offset and it's like looks good on the first layer, and then I go back and check it later and I've got giant gaps. So I'm gonna try swapping out the nozzle and see if that helps. Currently right now though, I have like the equivalent of like a clone tanker helmet. Ooh, got some fireworks going on outside. It's the 2nd of July, people. It's not 4th of July. Come on. Save them. Alright, well, I guess that is going to end it for me. Because if I close that window, I'm going to cook in here. But that should be a... this should be a good spot to stop with the fireworks going off. Speaking of Star Wars tank designs, there will be one coming very soon. I started working on an ATT video, so that'll probably be out like next week, depending on what it takes for me to finish it. I was considering reaching out to like one of the people that does the Star Wars lore stuff to have them like potentially help me with it, but at the same time, I don't really think I need help with it because it's literally just I could just find all the information I need on it. It's not like with Real Tank where it's like somebody might have like some detail stashed away somewhere. I mean, that's could be true for a fake vehicle. Like they could have access to some of like the behind the scenes things that George Lucas or somebody did with the design, but honestly, I'm not that concerned about that because it's just a fake vehicle. All right, well, thank you guys all for coming and chilling with me. We'll have to do this again at some point. I didn't realize that Cold as Water bottle has been there this entire time. Unintentional brand placement. I mean, I guess if you want to support the channel and you like their products, you can buy those. I do still have a link with them. It's if you go back to some of my old videos, you can find them. Or just, I think if you use the code ConeOfArc, probably it'll get you the discount. I don't know. I get commissions from sales of those, so if you want a water bottle, they're pretty decent. That's not sponsored or anything. I just noticed it was there. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I want to do more of these like in the future, but it mainly just has to be something that makes sense for the amount of time that it can take, because I mean this is 2.5 hours just about of me sitting here talking that I could have been using for working on other things potentially. Obviously, I wasn't going to do that, but I'm just saying, like, it is a lot of a time sink for streams. So I need to kind of get like a schedule worked out for how I would do them and everything. But yeah, if this is something you guys are interested in, I will definitely consider it for the future. Why did I quit War Thunder videos on my main channel? To focus on the history stuff. If you watch the video that I did of my last War Thunder video, it kind of explains it. You can check that one out. But yeah, thank you guys for chilling with me. I'm going to wrap up the stream here, and we'll see about maybe doing one of these, like, maybe once a month or something, if people like it. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time.